Hi, guys, and welcome back to Model Behavior. It's Macy. Today, obviously, we have a video feed. I am trying to decide if I wanted to do this. One of my friends asked me to do video, so I'm trying it. I don't know if I'm going to end up liking it or not, but we're going to try it for today. The reason why I didn't start with a video feed is because I actually recorded episode one, but I felt like I was so awkward on camera. Like I literally, I don't know, I just like couldn't speak the way I normally do. But I think since I'm like a few episodes in, I'm gonna try it. We're in my guest bedroom, which is pretty empty. It's kind of like a multi-purpose room. I have like this big, like one of those big queen size air mattresses that like are actually pretty comfy, in my opinion. That I set up in here and I like move a bunch of stuff around. But right now it's set up as a my Pilates studio. So I have like my little like weights and my Pilates ball and like my booty bands and everything set up. Also, don't worry about my plant right here. I obviously have been gone for like 2 weeks, and so I didn't water him, but he'll be fine. Don't worry. When I leave to teach in the summer, I just like send it and don't water my plants. And like I specifically got plants that would be fine. So I used to have people like come over and take care of my plants, and then I was just like, ugh, it's not worth it to me. But anyways, what time is it? It's Sunday right now. I'm actually have to leave to pick up Allison in a bit because we're gonna go to the hockey game this afternoon, which is gonna be so fun. I'm so excited. But in the meantime, I just feel like it's been so long since I've recorded. So I wanted to give you guys like a little bit of an update, Palm Springs update, Scottsdale update. I've been back in Colorado for like 3 days now, and it honestly feels so good to be back. Just like getting into my car and like driving, I was like, oh, and I know it's only been 2 weeks, but I ended up being gone longer than I was planning on. I moved my flight, um, and I can tell you that in a second, but I want to stay organized here. But yeah, the past few days have been really nice just doing a reset and like I'm so grateful for my past self because I cleaned my entire apartment top to bottom before I left. And so when I came back, like the little like marks that the vacuum makes on the carpet when you've like freshly vacuumed it. It's such a niche thing, but I freaking love it when I can see those. Like I'm just looking at the carpet right now in here and I'm like, I love it. So just coming home and seeing all of that, I was like, this is the best. But obviously I watered some of my plants, but I haven't watered this one yet. If you're just listening and you're not watching the video, I have a plant behind me in the corner. It's a spider plant. I forget what it's called. Sorry. I'm not a domestic plant person. I'm just a native plant person. Also, ignore my ski boots in the corner. There's my ski boots are in the corner here, and I didn't want to move them. I don't know. I just kind of got lazy with it. Also, this beanbag chair, I've been trying to like, I'm sitting on a beanbag chair and I've been trying to figure out how I feel most comfortable recording. And lately I have just been like recording in my living room um on my other beanbag chair. I got these two beanbag chairs like a couple months ago on Facebook Marketplace for $10 because my brothers sold me their old PlayStation 4, and so I've been gaming a little bit, especially when the weather was really bad this winter. I was like really trying to get better, specifically at Red Dead Redemption, which if you're not familiar, Red Dead is like a old west shootout story type game. But I stopped playing it for a bit because I've gotten far enough in the game and like completed enough missions that now like rival gangs are out for me. So anytime I'm out riding my horse and I'm just like trying to run errands or like go hunting or something, like I will get ambushed and it stresses me out so badly. Literally the last time that I played, I had successfully like killed every single member of the rival gang except for this one guy. And so then I was riding my horse away, and then my horse randomly bucked me off. There must have been like a rattlesnake or something, because that happens in this game. And I was helpless. And then the rival gang member like came up behind me and stabbed me. And it was so upsetting because also every time you get killed in the game, it costs you money. And I've been working really hard to make more money so I can upgrade my guns. And it was just so upsetting. So I'm taking a break from Red Dead. I do think I am going to get a couple more games. Like I kind of want to get I used to play this game on my friend's Nintendo DS when I was like in elementary school. Cooking Mama. I don't know if you're familiar with Cooking Mama, but it's literally a cooking game. And I looked it up and they do make it for PS4. And I really want to get Cooking Mama. I also want to get Animal Crossing because I love playing Animal Crossing on my phone. And I want to look up and see if Oregon Trail is a PS4 game because I freaking love playing Oregon Trail. Oregon Trail is the best. I love Oregon Trail. I was playing it on Apple Games for a really long time, but you have to pay for like a monthly subscription for it. You can't just like buy the game outright. And that's the only game I had any interest in playing on there was Oregon Trail. And then the other game that I want to get is Farm Simulator 17 because my favorite part of Red Dead, and I remember this because like during the pandemic, my boyfriend at the time was really into Red Dead. And after you complete most of the game, you get to a point where you're like starting a new life on a farm and you are like doing chores around the farm. And I really enjoyed that. So like I played that part for him. So I'm like, I should just get like a farm simulator game because I know we all played Farmville, but I was just like was really into that. Like I love my little phone games, so I'm thinking like those are the games that I need to get on my PlayStation because right now I just have like a couple games that my brother gave me when he sent me the PlayStation. So I think I have Call of Duty, I think it's Cold War because that's the one they play. So I want to get kind of good at it so that I can play with them when I visit. And then what else do I have? And then I have Red Dead, and then I have Need for Speed, which Need for Speed is pretty fun. Like I played that on the computer when I was younger, like on a desktop, and it is a really fun game. So I do like playing Need for Speed, but I'm getting to the point where I've unlocked pretty much like every map. And so even though I haven't won all of the races, like I'm getting kind of bored because like I like exploring new places. But I probably will go back to it at some point. Anyways, that was my gaming tangent. I need to look at my notes here. Okay. I want to say thank you for everybody that like sent really nice messages about episode 8. If you didn't listen to it, I basically just talk about a breakup that I went through last year and like kind of how it affected me and like how I've healed from it. And it was a more serious episode. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody that like has reached out. And I feel like it was really nice. But yeah. Anyways, thank you to everybody that's reached out. So in episode 2, I talked about this guy that I put the razzle dazzle on when we were in Vail, which actually is the last time I've been out. I was talking to my friend Soraya about this. I'm like, I think I just need to go out more so that my alter ego can like shine because it was fun. But yeah, so Hot Mustache Guy from episode 2, I had talked about how he had like posted, this was a few weeks ago now, that he was going to be on this Netflix show. And so if you're not watching Temptation Island, you have to, okay? And so Hot Mustache Guy, it's not gonna like take that much work to find out who I'm talking about. He is like one of the main guys on the show, which is really fun. And obviously, like he and I have not really spoken since that weekend because I'm like, I found out that he was like, he's 24 now, I think, but I was like, dang, he's like a lot younger than me. And so I turned 30 in December. I don't think I've ever said that, but most of you guys know because you're my friends. But yeah, so I have been watching Temptation Island. My friend Allison came over on Friday. Like I started watching it when I was in Scottsdale with my friends Lindsay and Harrison. I was staying with them. And then Allison came over and we on Friday and we watched a couple more episodes. We have this routine where I think it's like once every other week. Um, she'll bring wine over and I'll order pizza and we just like sit on the couch and talk and then like watch some stupid show. We were watching Love is Blind and now we've started Temptation Island. And so if you haven't seen the show, it is wild. Okay. It is absolutely unhinged. Like, I thought it was going to be similar to Love Island, which Love Island does is like a little inappropriate. It's like dicey. Like, should I watch this with my parents? But I actually got into Love Island when I was in the hospital in San Diego because my mom was like desperate for like something to help me feel better because I was on all these meds and I was on an all liquid diet because I couldn't open my mouth and it was just this whole thing. And so that's when we started watching Love Island. And like my mom, she's a very intellectual person. So like at first she was like, wow, this show is so dumb. But then she just got hooked. Okay. We both did. And now she's gotten to the point where she's seen every episode of every season of every country of Love Island. Cause there's Australia, UK is like the OG, and then the US, obviously. And actually, US Love Island is my least favorite personally, because I think that especially like UK, I used to have to watch Love Island UK with the captions on. because I literally could not understand what they were saying because so many of them have like thick, like Essex accents. Like they're not like posh London. It's like really thick UK accents, and you cannot understand what they're saying. And there's so much slang. But then you watch enough where you're like, I don't need the subtitles anymore, girl. I mean, I still watch with subtitles because they help me hear better. But I thought that Temptation Island was going to be more like that. No, it is so sexual, okay? It is so sexual. And I was gonna watch it with my dad. I actually did start the episode with my dad, which I'm jumping around a lot, but get to the point. It was so inappropriate. I had to turn it off. Anyways, it's been fun watching Hot Mustache Guy on that show, though. It's like we have, even though like I met him like one time and we talked literally, we had one conversation. I have like this parasocial relationship with him now where I'm like, yeah, that's him. That's him. Hot mustache guy. So honestly, it's been so entertaining. So yeah, that's been fun. It's just like an ego boost. Like I said, I was like, good for me. Oh, also, I don't know how many of you are doing March Madness, but CSU won against Memphis yesterday, which I guess if you know ball, you know that Memphis is not that good. And like the commentators were kind of like crapping on Memphis saying that they weren't that good. I really just watched like Big 12 and Mountain West basketball games this season. I really didn't keep up with any of the other conferences, so I had no idea. So when I was making my bracket, I was pretty dumb when it came to Florida and Auburn because after brackets came out and the tournament started, I was like, dang, like everybody picked Florida or Auburn to like win the whole thing. And I just didn't. And also yesterday, I did not pick CSU to win, which I'm like, oh, I know that's so bad. But they're a 12 seed and Memphis was a 5 seed and they upset them and they played so well. I feel like I'm so glad that they're peaking now because when I went to their games in the regular season, they were like really bad on the offensive boards. Like there were just no second chance rebounds. And I feel like that was like a huge difference in the game yesterday because the main guy that everybody talks about a lot, Nick Clifford, he did not have a very good game. But then our point guard randomly went off for 21 points. It's like an all-time high for him. He had 6 3-pointers. He was 6 for 9. No, he was 7 for 9 from the three-pointer, which is absolutely insane. And because of that, like we literally won. Also, our big guys were pulling down rebounds, like getting second chance rebounds really hard on the offensive boards. Our defense was better than I've ever seen it. And so I was like, okay, this is a good time for you guys to be peaking. So they play, I don't even know who they play today. I need to look, but they tip off is at 5. So I think we'll just be getting home from hockey when the game starts. So I think it'll be perfect. I'm really excited to watch. Okay. So I did just get back from 2 weeks of traveling, which I did not anticipate being gone for that long. The first week I like had actually taken it off as vacation, and then the second week I did like work a little bit remotely. But the second week I was like weird about this in a previous episode. I was like, I don't want to get into this, but it's really not that big of a deal. Um, my dad had back surgery and he lives down in Scottsdale with my stepmom. And so I flew down there to like help my stepmom out while he was in the hospital. And I'm really, really glad I did because the hospital that he had his surgery at was like super far away from where my stepmom and my dad's place is. And they have a dog too. So it was really nice because we kind of just traded off. Like Desi took the morning shifts and I took like the afternoon shifts. And I was kind of expecting my dad to sleep more, but he was in a lot of pain. So I ended up just hanging out with him a lot and just talking to him. And we watched basketball. And then I would always stay until he like fell asleep. And then I would just like Uber back. I stayed in a hotel the first couple nights, which was really nice. But then I stayed with my friends Elise and Mike. They just bought a condo. It's so cute. It's in like such a good area of Scottsdale too. I loved it. And when I was with them, we had just like one of the days we just had the best day. We like walked to their favorite place in Scottsdale. It's called 4 Till 4. If you haven't been there, it is very good coffee, but just like expect the line to like wrap around the block. Like we randomly got lucky, but 4 Till 4 is always busy. But if you're in Scottsdale, 4 Till 4, such good coffee. So we walked to 4 Till 4 and then we walked to the farmer's market and got tamales. They were so good and just kind of sat and people watched for a bit. And then we walked home and it was just like, it was sunny that day because most of the days that I was in Palm Springs were not that warm. And then pretty much every day that I was in Scottsdale, it was like cold and rainy. It was like in the 50s, which I know is not that cold, but like for Scottsdale, that's very cold. And it was windy. So I had like 2 days of like decently nice weather. It was like barely warm enough to go to the pool though, which sucks because right now, this weekend, it's in the 50s. Or no, sorry, it's in the 90s right now. So, anyways, so the tennis tournament was awesome. We ended up hitting the tennis a lot more than I thought we would. Um, but yeah, it was super fun. I got to see all of my favorite players. We literally had it down to a T. The grounds were super busy, but we ended up not hanging out around the grounds as much as I thought we would, except for the last day. There were a lot of rain delays. Um, but we still got some good tennis in. And my outfits, okay, I didn't get to wear my third outfit that I was gonna wear because that was the super rainy day. And I was planning on wearing like these white trousers that day. And I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna like sit on like a wet seat in white trousers. Like that is a bad idea, especially if I'm getting rained on all day. So I ended up just like going more casual and wearing like jeans and like my suede jacket. And it was like it was cute still. I liked it. But my first 2 days, I like kind of stunted a little bit. And so then I tagged obviously my OG tennis wags that I love following. If you don't follow Morgan Riddle or Paige Lorenz, you are so missing out. They both are the girlfriends of top American tennis players. Morgan is dating Taylor Fritz, who's number 4 in the world. And then Paige is dating Tommy Paul, who I believe is he in the top 10 now? I think he's just out of the top 10. I think he might be like number 11 in the world or something. But and I knew of like both of these tennis players, obviously having watched the sport and kept up with it quite a bit before I knew about these girls, but they have like really made like tennis fashion a thing, like courtside fashion. And they also just post really good YouTube videos, like pages, like lifestyle vlogs. I love. But, anyways, I had posted my outfits and I tagged both of them, and both of them reposted. Not that big of a deal. They do that every tournament. But for me, I was like, this is my Olympics. Like, I cannot believe this is happening right now. Just kidding. But it was pretty fun. So I was like, yes. And so loved that. And yeah, so the tournament itself was really fun and we just hit the tennis really hard and we saw a few really, really good matches. We didn't really do much else when we were there. We did have one pool day. We were expecting to have more pool time, but the weather was just not good. And apparently it's always nice in Palm Springs. It's always warm, like it's always sunny. And it's just funny that like the week that we went, it was like cold and rainy. Again, it wasn't cold, but I would say it's like at night it did get cold. It was like in the 40s, and then like in the day it was like high 50s, low 60s. Like it was not warm. So, anyways, I did not get as much sun as I was kind of hoping because I was like, if I just get enough vitamin D, I think it'll solve all of my problems. But it still was good. Okay, so Scottsdale, yeah. So I was just with my dad. At one point I did turn on Temptation Island after all the basketball games were done. And it's so, if you've seen it, the first episode is so inappropriate. It was so awkward. And so I ended up just like turning it off. And thankfully, I think my dad was just like so delirious because of like the anesthesia in his system because he was kind of out of it. And I had brought it up like a few days later and he was like, "What? I don't remember that. I remember you turned on a show, but I didn't remember what it was about." And I was like, "Good." Because during the intros, there's a girl that literally comes up and she's like, I can't remember her name. She's like, "My I can't just use a random name. Like my name's Alex and my hobby is sucking D." I was like, "Holy crap, like get better hobbies." And obviously like the producers probably told them what to say, but I'm like, girl, because like on Love Island when they do the intros, they're like, "My name's Becky. I'm 34. I'm from Essex." 34. "I'm 24. I'm from Essex, and I'm a model." They just like say what they do for a living. They don't like talk about their sexual hobbies. Like, is that even a hobby? Maybe. It could be a hobby. Anyways, but the rest of Scottsdale, it was pretty just low key because I was just with my dad. The last couple of days, I did get to spend more time with Lindsay. She's one of my best friends. Different from Lindsay that's in Canada. That's a Lindsay. Love you, Lindsay. But then Lindsay down in Scottsdale is one of my best friends. We met at UW. I've talked to her. I've talked about her, I think, before. But we got to go to a spring training game, which was really fun. We got to see the Rockies play the Royals. Rockies. did very badly as per usual. And then I can't remember. I think the next day I went out to see my dad again. And then the last day I was there was actually Lindsay's 26th birthday. And I was so happy that I got to spend it with her. We literally had the best day. Like, I ended up just taking the day off and we went and got crepes for breakfast. It was kind of cold that day, so we did go like on a long walk, and then we went and got facials, and then we went into this place near her house. She lives like near the Scottsdale Quarter, which is like a really nice like mall area, and we went into this place called the Mission. And really cool bar. Like if you're in that area, you need to go. And we didn't even realize, but we walked in during what they call guac hour. Guac hour is you okay, what is it? Okay, you get tableside guac with chips and salsa and a bottle of wine for $20. Okay, that is a screaming deal. And after coming from Palm Springs, where I was paying $6 for a cup of drip coffee at a diner, I was like $20 for a bottle of wine and chips and guac and like the good guac. Insane. Also, because it was Lindsay's birthday, the bartender gave us two tequila shots, but they were huge. They were huge tequila shots. And we had dinner with her family, like her whole family, like her grandparents later. So we were like, okay, how do we navigate this? So we didn't drink all the wine. The guy let us take it to go, which was awesome. And we ended up just having such a fun afternoon. And then we went to dinner with her whole family and obviously her boyfriend Harrison. Um, they live together. So like whenever I say I'm visiting Lindsay, I'm visiting Lindsay and Harrison. But it was a really fun dinner. And then afterwards, Harrison got so hooked on Temptation Island when we started watching, and he started being like, we need to go home so we can watch Temptation Island. He was hooked on it. And so we went back and watched Temptation Island, and that was pretty much it. And then the next morning, she just took me there. We got Starbucks, and then she just took me to the airport, and that was basically it. That was my trip recap. Okay. So I did go on a date when I was in Palm Springs. I was just like feeling, when you go on a vacation and you're just like feeling like a main character because you're like, okay, I'm never going to see these people again. So it doesn't really matter. I don't really have to care about like how I'm acting or if I'm going to run into these people again. And so I feel like that vacation mindset just like does something to you. So I get on Hinge, and this is like good. I'm glad that I do this occasionally when I travel because it reminds me that like the dating pool is like decent other places and that there's nothing wrong with me here. It's just that the dating pool is tough here, especially where I'm at in Fort Collins. There's just not a lot of quality candidates whatsoever. And also, a lot of times, guys in Colorado, they just want to message back and forth with you for forever and they'll never actually ask you out. And it's like, okay, princess, like, I'm not going to be the man here. You have to ask me out, you have to plan something. So, and they never do. And I'm not going to go there with them, okay? Because I'm just like, I am sick and tired of this. So it's nice because when I'm traveling, guys aren't like that, like in other places. I don't know why here in Denver, in the Denver area, it's just like really bad. But like in other places, guys are not like this. They are like, you'll like talk for like maybe like half a day and then they'll ask you out and they'll set up a time and then you go do the date and that's how it goes, okay? And it was really nice also because I'm like, okay, there's also a lot of hotties. Like when I was in Scottsdale, obviously part of it is because of spring training. And there's just like so many people that come to town during spring training. But the number, and I don't say this to be cocky, I'm just saying, like, if you are in Denver, there is hope, okay? The number of hotties in my Hinge likes, the number of absolute smoke shows in my Hinge likes it was crazy, okay? And I I didn't end up going on a date when I was in Scottsdale because like I just didn't have time because like I was there to support my dad. So obviously I'm going to be there and do that. Um okay. So I did go on a date. And so when I'm there, I saw this really hot ER doctor in my likes. And if you know anything about dating a doctor, like the three types of doctors you should never date are ER doctors, orthopedic surgeons, or neurosurgeons. And I'm not saying that every single one of those is bad, but ER doctors in particular, they have really bad hours and they're just players, okay? And the neurosurgeon one, like I have like anecdotal evidence for that. Like not me personally, but like some of my friends who've dated neurosurgeons, I'm like, they are literally the worst. So, anyways, um, I saw this guy in my likes and he's just super hot. Okay. He's like 6'2", like definition of tall, dark, and handsome, like incredible, but incredible body, like just like lean and toned. Like he didn't really have any shirtless pics on his profile, but you could just tell that like he had a good body. And a really nice smile. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's 32 also. So I'm like, he's like around my age. And I'm just like, okay. And I don't want to generalize when I say this because I hate when guys are like, okay, if you're over 28 and single, there's something wrong with you and that's why you're single. Because I've heard guys say that and it really grinds my gears when guys say that. How do I say this? I feel like guys that are that hot and that successful, like I just feel like it's a lot easier for a guy like that to find a girl to date. Whereas like women, when you're a successful young professional woman, you generally want to date a guy that's either at your level of success or above. Um, but with guys, they don't really have that constraint. Like they can really date whoever and it doesn't really matter. And that's a huge, I'm speaking from my perspective. I know that's a huge generalization, but like that's just what I think um in my space, like with what I've seen. So this guy, I'm like, why is he single? And I mean that in like a bad way. I know that sounds so mean and presumptuous, but like I was not wrong, okay? I was completely 100% right. But I was like, you know what? And he's talking to me and then he asked me to go to dinner that night and I was like, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. So I said, yeah, of course. And so I let him pick me up from my hotel, which I know is like not great, but he made reservations for 6 p.m. We're going to this like really nice wine bar I had seen earlier in that day. And I was like, dang, that place looks nice. I want to go there. So then he suggested that we go there. And I was like, perfect. So I had him pick me up from my hotel and he drove like this big, really nice truck, which is so hot. Like a man with a truck. I don't know. Like there's no sports car, there's no luxury SUV that can compare to a man driving a truck. Like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, great. And so then obviously he's super hot. We go to dinner, and that's when I was like, okay, this guy is actually the worst because he didn't ask me any questions. He asked me three questions the entire date. Okay. And so I'm like kind of driving the conversation, being myself. And I just tested him a couple times because I was like, I want to see if I don't say anything, what he'll do. And it was just dead silent, dead silent. And then eventually he would pick back up with talking about himself. So the three questions he asked me were on the way over, he asked me, what do you do for work? I told him no follow ups. Then about an hour later, he asked, wait, what do you research? I told him no follow ups. And then at one point I asked him like what his favorite meal to cook lately has been. And he answered and then he said, "What about you?" Those were the three things he asked me the entire date. I was like, wow. So I left this date like knowing everything about this man and he knew literally nothing about me. So that's when I was like, also, okay, I know his Hinge profile literally said Christian looking for long-term relationship, not long-term relationship open to short, long-term relationship. And I'm like, this guy knows how to work the system because by no stretch of the imagination was this man looking for a long-term relationship. Also, he to be fair, he did know that I was just visiting, but at the same time, I'm like, that doesn't mean you don't like ask questions and try to get to don't try to get to know me. But then I kind of had this light go off in my head because again, I'm on this vacation mode. I'm in my alter ego headspace, okay? And I was just like, what if I just like DK this guy? Like what if it's like a DDK without the dance? I had been really obviously thinking about this because Sigrid and I had recorded that episode a few episodes back. And I was just like, my experience was not a DDK at all. But what if I actually do a DK? And the reason why I started thinking about this, because I was going to give this guy a real shot, the reason why I started thinking about this is because this guy literally was just like the epitome of what Sigrid was talking about in the DDK episode of like the most arrogant guy, doesn't want to get to know you, just thinks he can pull everyone. And that's the vibe I was getting from this guy. So after the date, which it was really good dinner, really good wine. We walked back to his truck. He dropped me back off at my hotel. And as I'm about to get out, we end up kissing. Okay. We ended up having like a cheeky little makeout and it was really good. I was like, yeah, this guy knows all the moves. Okay. He knows all the moves, but nothing too crazy. Okay. And so then I ended up just like ending it and I was like, this is my moment. And I was like, well, my mom's going to be here soon. I have to go. And I was like, thank you for dinner. And I was about to get out and he was like, wait, can I see you again? And I kind of just laughed and I was like, mm, probably not. And I was like smiling. And so I think he thought that I was like low key joking. So then he like got out and came and like opened my door for me, which like good manners, thank you. Not great conversation. Anyways, and so I got out and he like closed the door and he like we had like another little kiss and it was good. And then I was like, okay, bye. And I start walking away and he goes, text me. And I like without turning back, I just like wave behind me and I'm just like, I won't. And I just thought it was so funny because he was so confused. And I was just like, honestly, and I felt so good because I was like, I feel no remorse because like this man, like I was just thinking about like the karmic circle and I'm like, this is like the swinging pendulum and like I'm doing this for all of like the nurses at his hospital that like he has broken their hearts and like been a jerk to. Like I'm not going into the full details, but this guy is a piece of work, okay? Just some of the stuff he was telling me, I was like, wow. So then after that, like a few hours later, he goes home and he texts me and he's just like, damn, I'm kind of obsessed with you. And I was like, obviously, sorry, that sounds so arrogant, but like it was just kind of funny. And so then we just didn't text after that. Like I just left him on red and I felt so powerful and it was literally awesome. Yeah, so that's my dating story. Yeah, like I said, I did not go into the date being like, oh, I'm gonna play this guy. But like after dinner, I was like, this guy, geez. But then I was like, okay, I could just leave him, or I could give him a cheeky little kiss and then leave him. And he was awesome, and I loved it, and he was great. So with that all being said, I'm going to end things here. I have to go pick up Allison soon for the hockey game. So I'm excited about that. And I'm going to watch basketball tonight. So I am looking forward to talking to you guys in the next episode. And if you're watching, thank you for watching. I know a lot of you have subscribed to the show because you're my friends, but if you haven't subscribed, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. And yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys in the next episode. Bye.